I got the opportunity last week to go to an in-person event. There's this company called Pepcom that hosts these press events. They have been called speed dating for the press, which is a great term for them. It's kind of like going to a trade show, except the only attendees that are allowed at these events are the press, and no one gets to bring their own booth in. Every vendor gets the same size table. So you don't have to worry about traversing, somebody's weird booth layout or what, you go from table to the tables are set up before anybody gets there, before the press get there and before the vendors even get there. And it's like, that's your table. You set up on that and you're done. Like they can put a little sign up behind it or whatever. That's all fine. But it's very well laid out. And these have been fantastically valuable for me over the years, just because it's like 3 hours. And I can go see, there were 41 vendors at this thing the other night. There were about 18 of them that were really of interest to me. And, it's just great to be able to get to see people and interact with their products and actually see the products and just remind everybody that we're all human and, all of that good stuff. But it was the first of these that I have been to this year. I think it was the first in-person. Well, I was at South by Southwest, certainly for that trade show, but it was the first of these kinds of things that I've been to since we completed the acquisition of the Mac Observer, since that sale happened. Yeah. And this was certainly the first event that I was at where that was my prior identity. Now, even inside the Mac Observer for the last 10 years, my main content came through my Mac Geek Gab podcast, which is something that I kept separate from the acquisition. The person who came in did not want that podcast, and that was, quite frankly, a big part of the attraction of that deal. I mean, there were many facets that were attracting, but not having to figure out how to sell that to someone and then not have to go work for them. It was like, wait a minute, this could be a nice little clean. Yeah, right. So, but even still, I would wear a badge at these things that said Mac Observer and Mac Geek Gab on it. And this, in theory, was going to be the first one where I did not have that on my badge. Well, they just printed the badges from the old list. So, so I showed up and there was Mac Observer on the badge. I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. Like, I mean, it's how things work. They're like, yeah, we're sorry.
Talking point.
Well, that was it. It became a talking point. And it was a fantastic talking point because, first of all, no one, I was worried in some circles that if I said I was no longer attached to the Mac Observer anymore, would I get the same level of attention just for being Dave from Mac Geek Gab, that I got previously, which was, some mix of the two. And no one thus far, I have not encountered any of the companies that I've worked with over the years. No one has seen this as a negative thing. And most people see it as a very positive thing. It being able to, like you said, it was a talking point saying, oh yeah, I really should cross this out. And I'd put my finger over the line on the badge and explain that, the site was acquired at the beginning of the year. And everybody's like, oh, wow, congratulations. And they would want to talk about it a little bit. And then, of course, we'd get into letting them talk about their products and that sort of thing. But in good conscience, I certainly could not have planned this. I would not have asked. In fact, I asked for exactly the opposite for that not to be on there because that's appropriate. But it was on there. Everybody understood it was a mistake. And I was able to talk through it, but it worked out really well. It was quite serendipitous, to be able to have that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. You changed the frame on it.
That's it. Yeah.